International efforts to deliver aid to tsunami-hit islands in Tonga have been gathering pace. Communications with the island nation are still very limited. One British man has reported his sisters died. 2 teenagers have been arrested in Manchester in the north of England as part of the investigation into a siege at a synagogue in the US. A British man was shot and killed by police in Texas after taking 4 people hostage. Novak Djokovic has arrived in Serbia after losing a visa battle in Australia over his decision not to get vaccinated. Now his defence of the French Open, which starts in May, is in doubt. And Britain's Culture Secretary has confirmed the BBC's licence fee will be frozen for the next 2 years. Nadine Dorries also announced a review into how the corporation will be funded after 2027.
Australia sends a military plane to the Pacific nation of Tonga to inspect damage caused by an underwater volcano that erupted on Saturday. In Serbia, tennis star Novak Djokovic arrives in Belgrade after being deported from Australia, ending his hopes of playing in the Australian Open tennis competition. In Ukraine, former President Petro Poroshenko returns to Kyiv to face charges of treason. And in China, several cities go on high COVID-19 alert as the Lunar New Year holiday travel season begins.
Tokyo and 3 neighboring prefectures want a new tool to fight surging coronavirus cases. Their leaders are asking the central government to announce a quasi-emergency. This would give governors the authority to beef up anti-infection measures. That could mean asking eateries to shorten business hours or stop serving alcohol.
We are seeing infections spread at an unprecedented speed. We need to keep our society running while trying to contain the infection.
Tokyo reported more than 3,700 new cases, the most ever for a Monday. The count is 4 times as high as 1 week ago. But Tokyo's governor is more concerned about hospitals. More than 1 in 5 beds for coronavirus patients are now occupied, a benchmark she set for this next step. 3 prefectures are already taking intensive measures: Okinawa, Yamaguchi, and Hiroshima. Tokyo and 3 surrounding prefectures want to join them. So do Aichi, Gifu, Mie, and Niigata. The government may decide on the matter on Wednesday. Nationwide numbers have been nearing a record high, spurred by Omicron. Weekend tallies were close to the almost 26,000 cases reported in August. The government is still early in its booster shot rollout and wants to speed things up. The Self-Defense Forces are opening a vaccination center in Tokyo at the end of this month that'll inoculate around 2,000 people a day. The Defense Ministry plans to set up a similar facility in Osaka. Japanese Prime Minister Kishida Fumio has kicked off the new ordinary diet session with a policy speech focusing on measures aimed at stopping the coronavirus.
I will deal with the situation using the latest knowledge and without fear. If there is a better policy out there, we will switch to that without hesitation. We will flexibly adjust our response.
On the subject of vaccine booster shots, Kishida said he intends to move faster to reduce the interval for medical staff and others who are currently eligible. Kishida said members of the public will be able to receive a 3rd booster shot of the coronavirus vaccine as soon as 7 months after their 2nd shot. He added that the interval may be shortened to 6 months when local governments are able to do so. The Prime Minister reiterated his position that he'll move forward with procedures to allow children under 12 to be inoculated as soon as possible if they wish. Kishida spoke about his plans to revitalize an economy struggling from the effects of the pandemic. He expressed the hope that the decline in the rate of wage increases in recent years can be reversed.
I will also work to make the weighted average of the national minimum wage at least 1,000 yen as soon as possible.
The leader of the largest opposition Constitutional Democratic Party, Izumi Kenta, said the Prime Minister's speech lacked specifics. He said his party is planning to put forward its own policy proposals and that he plans to ask questions about the government's COVID policy during diet debate. The organizing committee of the Beijing Winter Olympics and Paralympics has announced that due to coronavirus concerns, it will not sell tickets to the public and will allow only invited spectators to watch the games. The organizing committee says the measure is aimed at ensuring the safety of all participants and spectators. It's also calling on spectators to strictly follow anti-infection measures. The organizers had previously said they would not accept international spectators and that they would sell tickets exclusively to residents of mainland China. The Beijing Olympics will start on February 4th. Well, people across China have started returning to their hometowns for the upcoming Lunar New Year holidays, but authorities are urging them to refrain from travel before the Beijing Olympics to prevent the Omicron variant from spreading. The homecoming rush began on Monday, ahead of the annual holidays that start on January 31st. The main railway station in the southern city of Guangzhou was crowded with people burdened with luggage.
I took a PCR test yesterday, but I have to take another one in my hometown. I want to see my children and enjoy the New Year holidays with my family.
The government estimates that people will make more than 1 billion trips during the 40-day period that started on Monday. Beijing has been under high alert in the run-up to the Winter Games. Health authorities say the capital's first Omicron case, confirmed on Saturday, could be traced to mail sent from overseas. They say the patient received a package from Canada via the United States and Hong Kong. They say samples taken from it tested positive for COVID-19. Officials are calling on people to refrain from purchasing goods from overseas to minimize such risks. A North Korean freight train has returned from China with a load of what Chinese officials say are supplies for the government. The officials told NHK that the train that arrived in the Chinese border city of Dandong on Sunday returned to North Korea's northwestern city of Sinŭiju on Monday. They said this does not mean that trade has resumed. South Korea's Yonhap news agency quoted sources as saying that the train seems to have brought home emergency relief items such as medical supplies and daily necessities. North Korea closed its borders with China and Russia nearly 2 years ago to stave off the coronavirus. The country's leader, Kim Jong-un, says preventing infection is a priority national project. But the border closures are dealing a blow to the economy, which has already been damaged by international sanctions. Attention is on whether Pyongyang will resume full-fledged land trade ahead of the 80th anniversary of the birth of the leader's late father, Kim Jong-il, in February. Now to the volcanic eruption off Tonga. Ash from the blast has reached northeastern Australia over 3,000 kilometers from the volcano. Caution is advised for flights in the region. The Volcanic Ash Advisory Center in Darwin says the ash was spotted around 2:30 UTC Monday. Officials say that based on satellite images and reports from aircraft, the ash is moving westward at altitudes between 12 and 19 kilometers at a speed of about 90 kilometers per hour. The center forecast the ash would extend to Darwin in the north at around 12:30 UTC Monday and cover the northern half of the country by around 0:30 UTC Tuesday. The center has issued the second highest alert level of orange in its aviation color code. The massive eruption occurred at Hunga Tunga Hunga Ha'apai on Saturday afternoon. The volcano is 65 kilometers north of Tonga's capital. The eruption triggered tsunami alerts around the Pacific nations, including Japan. A research team in Western Japan says atmospheric shock waves that could be perceived by the human ear were observed across the country. The team at Kochi University of Technology has observation equipment at 25 locations in the country. The devices are designed to detect shock waves of very low-frequency sound produced by earthquakes or volcanic eruptions. They say the system began detecting shock waves with long wavelengths about 7 hours after the eruption. About 25 minutes later, it began logging strong waves with shorter wavelengths that people can hear. Professor Yamamoto Masayuki heads the team. He said it's extremely rare for shock waves with the same characteristics to be observed across the country simultaneously. He added that he wants to use the findings to better understand the mechanism of the latest tsunami. People in Japan marked the 27th anniversary of a massive earthquake on Monday. The great Hanshin Awaji earthquake rocked the western prefecture of Hyogo and nearby areas. The quake collapsed buildings and caused many fires. More than 6,400 people died. A moment's silence was observed at 5:46 in the morning, the moment the earthquake struck. At a park in the hard-hit city of Kobe, mourners positioned about 5,000 lanterns to form the date of the quake and the kanji character meaning forget. This is an expression of conflicting feelings. People don't want to forget the victims, but at the same time, they want to forget the horrors of the disaster.
These 27 years, I have never forgotten that day. I can never forget what happened.
I think it's my duty to pass on the memory to my children. I will keep on telling them how precious life is.
Some young people were seen interviewing those who experienced the quake firsthand. They're members of a group that uses social media to pass on lessons from the disaster to younger generations. Rough storms battered parts of the Middle East, including heavy snow in the Golan Heights. Our meteorologist Sayaka Mori has a look at the details in world weather.
Hello there. A winter storm hammered parts of the Middle East. Snow accumulated in the higher elevations and also cold rain flooded the streets in Israel. Take a look at this video. Heavy snow fell in the Golan Heights from Saturday to Sunday. The ground and trees were blanketed with snow. Meanwhile, about 100 millimeters of rain fell in parts of Israel. Heavy rain has caused severe floods and many vehicles were submerged. And talking about a winter storm, we saw messy pictures across the southeastern United States. We saw several tornadoes hit in Florida, and also icy road conditions caused many car accidents over the Carolinas. The winter storm is now hammering parts of the northeastern U.S. with powerful winds and heavy snow. New York may see a total of 50 centimeters of snow by the end of Monday. The storm system will likely affect Atlantic Canada with blustery conditions and also heavy snowfall. Halifax, Canada might see gusts of up to 100 kilometers per hour. Another story is a very low temperatures, which is expected to hit the north central United States and parts of central Canada. These are your expected highs, not lows. Winnipeg could see minus 23 on Wednesday, and Toronto minus 11 on Thursday. Minneapolis usually see minus 5 degrees for the daytime high, but you could see minus 18 degrees on Thursday. So bundle up. Meanwhile, Japan is expecting more snow along the Sea of Japan side. For example, Niigata, you might see an additional 1.2 meters of snowfall into the next 48 hours. Usually the Pacific side stays dry. However, parts of the low-lying areas such as Nagoya and also Kyoto could see snowfall on Tuesday. Temperatures are going to be in the single digits every day in Tokyo. That's it for me. Have a nice day.